right, so we are going to be completing the review for your second test. Which of the following statements is true about the graphs of f of x equals x and g of x equals x minus 7? Anytime it gives you an equation, we're going to type it in our calculators. So I'm going to go to y equals, and I type in x into y1, and then x minus 7 into y2. When I look at the graphs, there's the original, that's my parent function, and then the second one is shifted down 7. G of x is the graph of f of x translated 7 units down. So that's my answer. We can also remember by the acronym IHOD over. Because this minus 7 is outside parentheses, we know it has to be a vertical shift, which means up or down. And it's exactly like you think. So minus 7 is going to make it go down 7. What function's graph is the translation of the graph f of x equals negative 3x shifted 7 units to the left? So let's use IHOD over again, and it wants us to go to the left. So left is a horizontal change, because that's left or right. So that means it needs to be inside the parentheses. So it's not going to be A, it's not going to be C, and it's not even going to be D, because none of those are inside the parentheses. This is the only one inside, and it's the opposite of what you think. So to make it go left, you're actually going to add 7 inside the parentheses. We can check just to make sure. So in y equals, I'm going to do negative 3x in y1 because that's the original. And then negative 3 parentheses x plus 7 in y2. So here was the original, and it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the left. So that is correct. All right, the conversion from Celsius to Fahrenheit starts at 32 degrees and increases at a rate of 1.8 Fahrenheit per Celsius degree. If the temperature can be modeled by a linear function, which equation best describes the Fahrenheit temperature F based on the Celsius temperature C? So it tells us that it starts at 32 degrees. The start is your y-intercept or your b value. It's the beginning. Whereas a rate, or this per, tells us it's the slope. So this 1.8 is the slope, or your m. Anytime it's the slope, that means it goes next to your x. So this 1.8 has to be next to our x, or our variable. So this has 1.8 next to the variable. This does not. 1.8 next to the variable. And this has a negative 1.8. It's increasing, so it's not going to be a minus. Now let's look at the differences between these two. This has a 32c, so a 32 with a variable, and this one just has a plain 32. We knew 32 was the y-intercept. Your y-intercept does not go next to a variable, so B is your answer. Which equation can be represented by the graph shown? Okay, so these are not solved for y, but on our new calculators, you can actually plug them in the graph. So now that I've grabbed a new calculator, I'm going to go ahead, go to graph, okay, sorry, that screen's a little bright. Okay, so I'm going to go to graph. To enter in an equation, I'm going to do menu, graph entry edit, and I'm going to type it in as a relation. So my relation, we have y minus 2 equals negative 3 parentheses x plus 3. And if I click enter, it should graph it. Okay, so this graph is not crossing the y-axis at negative 1. I need to change this view. Okay, so you can see that the y-intercept is not negative 1 like this one, so it can't be A. So let's go and click on it, and we can change it. So I'm just going to delete. Okay, and now let's do y equals negative 3x plus 3. That has a y-intercept of a positive 1, so that's not it either. Okay, so let's click on it, delete this, y equals a positive 3x minus 3. Okay, so that crosses it at a positive 1 as well, so it can't be that one. Double click on it. Try the last one. Y minus 3 equals negative 3 parentheses x plus 2. So when I look at it, those both have a y-intercept of negative 1, and it's got the point negative 2, 3. If you want to see your grids, if you click Menu, View, Grid, this will show all of your little points. So negative 2, 3, yes, is on there. So that means this matches. Now I know, oh no, but I couldn't do that at home without a calculator. But yes, you can, okay? This is point slope form. We can pull out the point. The x value is the opposite, so it's negative 3. The y value is the opposite, so it's a positive 2. So negative 3, 1, 2, 3, positive 2 is not on the graph. This one says it has a y-intercept of 3. 1, 2, 3. No, it doesn't. This one says it has a y-intercept of a negative 3. 1, 2, 3. That looks good. And it says it has a positive slope. This is not a positive slope, so it can't be that one. This, if I pull out the point, the opposite of a positive 2 is a negative 2. Opposite of a negative 3 is a positive 3. So the point negative 2, 3 is on the graph. And it says it has a negative 3 slope. I'm going down 1, 2, 3 over 1. So you can do it on the calculator on test time, but you can also do it by hand. Which equation describes the line passing through these 2 points? This could be a stat question. So we have the points negative 1, 9, 2, and 3. So I'm going to tell you how to do stat on our new calculator. So we're going to go back home, and we want a table. So I'm going to define these as my x's and these as my y's. So when I'm typing in my points, I have negative 1 and 2, and then I have 9 and 3. So to do stat on here, you do menu, stat calculations, and then linear regression. So it's the same basic titles, it's just a few different buttons. So my x value is x, my y list is y, go down to calculate, and there it is. My m is negative 2, so it's y equals negative 2x, and my b value is 7, so plus 7. So looking to see which one matches, negative 2x plus 7 is right here. Miss Smith, I don't have a calculator at home. I couldn't do it. Yes, you can. Look here, find the slope. So to get from 9 to 3, this is minus 6. To get from negative 1 to 2, this is plus 3. Delta y over delta x. So the negative 6 divided by 3. So my slope is negative 2. So you know right away that it can't be this one, and it can't be this one. So we need to see if the y-intercept would be a positive 7 or a negative 7. We talked about the process table, where you create your little table over here. So the x value 2, the y value 3. So if I take negative 2, my x value is 2, I get negative 4. If I add 7, does that get me to 3? Yes. If I subtract 7, it does not get me to 3. So it's got to be the positive. The line created by the equation y plus 4 equals negative 3/4 parentheses x minus 9 passes through which of the following points? So on our new calculators, we could type this in. So if I go back to my graph, let's go home, go back to my graph. Okay, so I'm going to type in my equation. I'm just going to double click. And I am going to type in y plus 4 equals negative 3 divided by 4 parentheses x minus 9. Enter. Okay, so let's see which one of these points is on your graph. So negative 9, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, that's not on there. Negative 4, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope. 9 is not on there. Okay, 4, negative 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. And then 9, negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, it is. So that's how you could do it on your test when you have calculators. But if we're doing it at home, we remember that the x value is the opposite, so it's a positive 9. The y value is the opposite, so it's a negative 4. Find the slope from the table. So yes, we could go home, go to our table, and see how this created a new document? It cleared everything out. I'm just going to go back to my original one because I already calculated it. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to, that's not what I meant to do. Go over here, and I'm going to type in my new points. So negative 4, then I've got negative 6, then I've got negative 8. Over here, I've got 10, 15, 15, I know, it doesn't match up yet, and 20. So my equation, or my slope, is negative 2.5. Now be careful, because negative 2.5 does not mean negative 2 divided by 5, okay? In fact, if I go back, okay, so if I go back home, I go just to calculate. This brings me to my home screen. So negative 2.5. If I click menu, go to number, and I want to approximate it to a fraction. That's not what I wanted. Okay, let's just do it on the old one until I can fix that mistake. Sorry about that. So if I'm doing it on the old one, we have negative 2.5, math, inner, and it's negative 5 over 2. So that's how you do it on the calculator. You don't have to have a calculator. The change over here is plus 5. The change over here is minus 2. And it's delta y over delta x. So 5 over negative 2 is your slope, which is a negative 5 over a positive 2. Perfect. All right, choose the best explanation. Taylor can write 6 words per minute. She can write 25 words per minute. She can write 25 words per hour or 50 words per hour. Let's see, our x-axis says minutes. I know it's hard to see, but that's clearly not hours, okay? So it's definitely not going to be B or D. But now we need to see what the slope is. So I'm going to find 2 points. So we've got 0, 0. And then this looks like 4, 100. I'm going to do it by hand. So 0 to 100 is 100. 0 to 4 is 4. Delta y on top, 100 divided by 4 equals 25. But you could just go and put it in stat. All right. Compare the graphs of y equals 3/4 x minus 2 and y equals 3/4 x plus 4 minus 2. So I'm going to go home, go to my graph, click this equation. So we have the equation y equals 3 divided by 4 x minus 2, enter. And then we need another equation, so menu, graph entry, edit. I'm going to do it as a relation. Y equals 3 divided by 4, parentheses, x plus 4, and then minus 2. So we're comparing these two graphs. The lines have the same y-intercept. One's crossing here, one's crossing here. No, they do not. The lines intersect. those two lines are parallel. They never touch. They're not intersecting at all. The lines are equally steep. Yes, they are. And the lines have the same x-intercept. One crosses here, one crosses here. No, they do not. So your answer is B. Now, if I was trying to judge based off just the equation, we know that the only part that's different between these is this x plus 4, which is inside the parentheses, okay? So the 3/4, the steepness of the line is staying the same. That's why they are the same steepness. I know y'all see this -2, and you're like, oh, that's the same too. It's not here, it's your y-intercept. But because this is shifting to the left 4, it's not your y-intercept anymore, which is why they don't intersect here. So don't look at that part. Look at all your other options and check on your calculator first before you make your final decision. All right, Sarah graphed the function f of x equals 3x minus 12. Which function shows a vertical stretch of Sarah's graph? Okay, so this is a vocab word. A vertical stretch is an increase in the slope, whereas a vertical compression, you guessed it, I hope you did anyways, is a decrease in the slope. So here, since it wants a vertical stretch, we need to increase the slope. The 3 is our slope. So looking at all of those options, 6, that's an increase. That's larger. That's your answer. This is still a 3. That's the same. This is still a 3. That's the same. This is a 1. That would be a vertical compression. The table represents some points on a graph of a linear function. Which equation represents the same relationship? So we could put each of these in our y equals and then go and see which one has the same points. Or these are point slope form. I want to practice pulling the point out. So for this one, the x value would be a -5. The y value would be a -10. Let's see, is that an option on our table? No. For this one, the x value would be a -5. The y value would be a +10. Yes, that is a point on our table. So let's go over here. The x value would be a +5. The y value would be a -10. Nope, not on our table. The x value would be a -5. The y value would be a +10. So it's got to be C or D. So what's the only difference between them? The slope. Is it 4/3 or 3/4? So you could put this in stat and find your slope, but we can also do it by hand. To get from 16 to 19, you are adding 3. And then to get from 3 to 6, you are adding 3. So that's 3 over 3, which is 1. There must be a mistake at the bottom of the table. Here to here, 4 to 7 is +3. 13 to 19 is +4. Let's check another one just to make sure. This is +3. This is +4. So there just must be a mistake in the table at the bottom. Okay, so your slope, the delta y is 3, the delta x is 4. So which one of those had a slope of 3/4? Your answer is D. Find the slope from the table. So again, you could put it in stat, but we can do it by hand. To get from 5 to 1, you're subtracting 4. To get from 0 to 1, you're adding 1. Delta y over delta x, -4 over 1 equals -4. So your slope is C. Just to practice again on the new calculators, because I know they are new. I am going to go to Home, to my table. Again, let's just go to the original document, because you've already got it typed in. Your x values are -1, 0, 1. Your y values are 9, 5, and 1. And it automatically adjusts it for you. So your slope is -4. Your m is -4. Perfect. Which of the following represents a line with an undefined slope? Undefined slope, a U. Where do we see a U? We have a U in Vux, as well as on Slope Man. His nose has a U right here. So when I'm writing the equation, if you remember his little face tat, it's x equals a number. Or according to Vux, it's x equals a number. So it can't be A, it can't be C, it can't be D, it has to be B. That's the only one that has x equals. I could also check if I knew that undefined meant that it went up and down. If I went back to my graph, okay, let me delete these. And if I type it in, if I type in x equals 3, it should make a vertical line, which it does right there in red. So yes, that is my one with undefined. The table represents some points on the graph of a linear function. Which equation represents the same relationship? So you could put these in stat, you could find the slope, but look at all these equations. They all have the same slope. So we know our slope is 3. All we're doing is looking at the points. So you could put them in y equals and check to see if their points are on the graph. Or we should be able to pull out our points. The x value is a -10. The y value is a -14. -10, -14, that matches. I bet you that's our answer. Let's double check. The x value would be a +20. The y value would be a +12. That's not on there. Here, the x value would be a +8. The y value would be a +8. That's not on there. Here, the x value would be a -14. The y value would be a -10. When you're pulling out the point, remember to flip your signs. That's not on our table either, so we were correct at the beginning. The answer is A. Mr. Z is starting his own car club. There's a $30 join-up fee and a $5 monthly fee. This can be modeled by the equation y equals 30 plus 5x. What is the rate of change of the total cost with respect to the number of months? Rate of change means slope. So which part of that is your slope? That $5 right there. So it's that $5 per month. When they said $5 monthly fee, that's happening $5 every single month. If y varies directly, this tells us it's direct variation or it's proportional. So I'm going to create a table. When x is 5, y is 51. Find y when x equals 16. I put the 16 here because it's your x equals. This is a review from your last test. You're going to cross multiply. So I'm just going to go to the calculate screen. So I'm taking 16 times 51, and then you divide by the 5. I want a decimal approximation. $163.2. There it is. The linear regression equation, y equals 61.93x minus 1.79. So they already did it in stat for you, because we know you don't have a calculator at home. Use the equation to predict how far the person will travel, so we want the y value, after 10 hours of driving, so over here, okay? So that means that our x value, this hours, is 10. So I'm going to take this 61.93, instead of x, I put 10 minus 1.79. You can do this on your phone calculator, you can do this on a fancy calculator, you can do this on any calculator. 61.93 times 10, and then we are going to subtract 1.79. 617.51. So 617.5. There it is. What is the equation of the line that passes through the point 2, 7 and has a slope of 0? Slope of 0. Where have we seen slopes of 0? This is our Hoy, or on Slope Man. Slope of 0 is that line right there. You scratch your chin when you ask yourself why. So you know the equation is y equals a number. So it's not D, it's not C. And then look at this point. What is the y equal? The 2 is the x, the 7 is the y. So the y equals 7. What is the slope with the correct units? So really it's asking us to find slope. So we could put this in stat. So we go to menu, home, go to our table. I'm just going to go back to that first document because it already had it all typed in for us. So we've got 2, we've got 4, we've got 8, we've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 4. So our slope, our m, is 0.5. 0.5. So that means it's 50 cents per ticket. If I was doing it by hand, to get from 4 to 5, that's plus 1. To get from 8 to 10, that's plus 2. 1 over 2 is your slope, which is 0.5. So it's 50 cents or $0.5 per ticket. Consider the line represented by the equation x equals -3. Which of the following is true? X equals, where have I seen that? That's a VUX. I know that it's a vertical line. Ooh, so B is true. I can't just mark that as my answer because I also have an option that says both B and C are true. So let's look at these. Ooh, parallel. That's kind of confusing, so I'm going to look at a graph. If I go home, go to my graph. Okay, I'm going to delete this one. Just delete. So now it's gone. Okay, so I have x equals 3. I just need to change that to a -3. Perfect. Okay, so there's my line graphed. So is that parallel to the x-axis? Parallel means it never intersects. This is your x-axis. That definitely intersects the x-axis, so that's not true. Is it parallel to the y-axis? This is your y-axis. This is the line. Those will never intersect, so yes, it is. So the correct answer is both B and C. So make sure you read all of your answer choices. A hot air balloon is at a height of 20,000 feet. Hey, that's your beginning. That's your y-intercept. And it's descending. Descending means it's going down or it's negative. At a rate, that tells us slope of 5 feet per. That also tells us slope. Which equation models the situation? So it's starting at this 20,000 and it's going down, so minus this 5 feet per minute. So let's see. This has a 20,000 with an x. That's not right. This has a positive 5 and a negative 20,000. Nope. 20,000 minus 5x. That's our answer. This has a positive 5x and it needs to be a negative 5x. So I don't want to hear you have to have a calculator because I was able to do all of these by hand. Now I did show you how to do it by a calculator because I do want you to utilize those on your test, but you never have to have it. I hope you the best of luck and I hope you wrote everything down and you're ready for your test.